Hey, yoga teacher. We haven't met before. My name is Nick Danu, and I am a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, yin yoga teacher trainer, and a yoga business mentor. And I'm at the beach. We've had a little bit of a cold snap. I live just off the west coast of Canada on a little island called Vancouver Island, and we had a bit of a freezing snap, which is very rare for us, and so I haven't been to the beach in a while. And so I decided to come today, and it's a very west coast, wintry Canadian kind of day where it's cool but not cold and gray but still bright, and it's actually one of my favorite things. I actually would much prefer to be at the beach on a slightly overcast day than on a bright sunny day, but that's just me. I'll give you a little shot of where I'm at. You might see the odd person walking behind me, walking their dog or enjoying the beach. There's not many of us that come down on gray days, but so that's where I'm at. And I wanted to, while I was taking my outside break here, just pop on and talk to you really quickly about something that I often hear and I have an opposing opinion to. I will explain. The question is often, is the yoga market saturated? And often you'll hear other business coaches or business mentors say, no, it's not saturated. I actually completely disagree. I believe the yoga market is saturated. However, I don't believe that that needs to feel like bad news. So here's the thing. When I started teaching yoga, which was in 2004, there were very few yoga teachers. So few, in fact, that when I told someone I was a yoga teacher, they were always a little confused, like, wait, like that's the only thing you do? Like you make a living doing that? Because yoga was still, even though it had started booming, it was still quite unknown back then. And it was still kind of something that like only a certain kind of person did. And so, you know, in Alberta, which is where I'm from, to be a yoga teacher in the 2000s was certainly unusual. Fast forward now, and if you were to say, even if you were to say in my home province of Alberta that you're a yoga teacher, everybody's got an idea of what that means. Now, they might not be correct, but they've at least heard of yoga. They kind of have a vague idea what it is, probably some misconceptions on top of it all, but you get the idea. And so I do believe that the yoga market is saturated with teachers. Here's also what I believe, though, so don't let that be bad news. I believe that the yoga market is saturated with 200-hour vinyasa teachers, or 200-hour hot yoga teachers. I'm not dissing either of those styles of yoga, by the way. I'm just saying there's a lot of those types of teachers because there's a certain age group that gets really attracted to being a yoga teacher and tends to be, those two styles are kind of their gateway drug, you could say, to yoga. So there are a ton of 200-hour teachers that teach these more athletic styles of yoga. But what there isn't are teachers that have a wide range of experience and education and specialties. So you've probably heard the word niching. I know Americans call it niching, but it's actually a French word. It's pronounced niching. And maybe you have an idea about what that is or not. Usually people get it wrong. Often yoga teachers will think that niching is a style of yoga, like vinyasa or flow or restorative, or it's like, no. Those are a tool in your tool belt that you use in your niche. It's not a niche itself. So what the yoga market isn't saturated with are teachers that are speaking to people who don't think that they're yoga people, or to communities that aren't already practicing yoga. Those are actually untapped markets. There's a huge percentage of people that aren't doing yoga either because they don't think they're a yoga person, because maybe they've got the idea that yoga is kind of a woo-woo thing, or they don't think they're a yoga person because they're not flexible or they're not strong, or they don't think they're a yoga person because they have injuries or physical limitations. And so there's a huge percentage of the population not practicing yoga simply because they don't think that yoga is for them. And this is where the yoga industry, and I'm not referring to us teachers in this, has really done a disservice to our teaching. Because if you look at ads in magazines, or even some people's Instagram feeds for that matter, you would think that you have to be thin, white, able-bodied, and flexible, and female, ideally, to practice yoga. We know as teachers, none of that is true. But this is the perception that we are constantly coming up against. So I do believe that the yoga market is saturated. The yoga market is saturated with 200-hour teachers who are looking to do drills, exercises, and get people a yoga workout. That market, totally saturated. However, what about the gentler forms of yoga? What about the quieter forms of yoga? What about therapeutic yoga? What about working with people who don't fit into that bubble or that niche? This is where we can really, really do some good. So is the yoga market saturated? Yes and no. That part of the market is saturated. But the parts that are not saturated are still wide open for you to specialize in, to niche down in, and to really serve. So there are many, many groups of people that are not being served by yoga. And if right now you're thinking, okay, well, that's great, but I don't have the training or the skill set beyond my 200-hour vinyasa, but that's something you want to do, well, then that's when you take more training, right? It can start small. It can start with, continuing ed workshops, things like that. When you can start to get really, really clear on a few things. One, your niche. So who are you meant to serve and what do you help them with? So your niche is not a style of yoga. It's also not a demographic. So it's not women between this age and this age. Now that can be part of your niche, but it's not the entirety of your niche. So your niche is who you're meant to serve and what you help them with. And then the third thing that can come into that is your perspective, your beliefs, your thoughts, your point of view on this yoga world that we live in. And the more you specialize and the more clear you get on who you're meant to serve and what you help them with, and the more clearly you can articulate that and then find those people that actually aren't already doing yoga, the more successful you'll be. So learning to think outside of the box or off the mat, so to speak, is the key, in my opinion, to still being able to survive and thrive in a yoga industry that is in fact saturated. If you don't want a niche, if you just want to do handstands on the beach, drink green smoothies, wear fancy leggings, become an Instagram influencer, and just roll up to a packed class at a yoga studio without doing any work, good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. But if you want to reach a small but loyal community, or create a small but loyal community of people that you are uniquely suited to serve, and you want to help them, now we're talking. So if you want to serve a community that's not being served, if you want to help people, and you want to do so in a way that's kind of like outside of the box, I don't mean outside of the studio. You can still work at studios, although I don't recommend that being your 100% income. Then I definitely have some things that I can help you with that. But if you just want to roll up to a studio, show up to a packed class in your fancy leggings and drink your green juice and be a, Instagram influencer, I got nothing to help you with on that. That's the market that's already saturated. So if that's the way that you think you're going to make a living, a sustainable living as a yoga teacher, good luck with that. Let me know how that goes in a couple years. But for those of you who do want to dive a little deeper, you really want to be very clear in your business and you want to learn who you're meant to serve and what you help them with so that you can be of service and thrive as well in your own business, then I can help you with that. So depending on where you're watching this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, I'll leave a link below. If you're watching it on Facebook, same, link will be below. If you're on Instagram, you can go to my bio and click the link in bio and click the one that says Yoga Business Mentorship or Yoga Biz Mentorship. And that will take you to my page where you can look up in my photo, there's a button that says free PDF. If you click that, then you'll be added to my list. And I do workshops sporadically throughout the year, 3 to 5-ish, specialty workshops. So I've done one on niching. I've done 7 ways that you can market your yoga business that don't involve social media, 7 free ways, actually. And I'm currently working through my course that runs once a year, which is it's like building the foundation of your yoga business. It's called Marketing with Heart for yoga teachers. That's a 7-week program. So when you get on my list, you'll hear about all of these as they come up. You'll also get a bunch of free resources. So some videos, some podcast interviews that I've done, and things like that to help you in your business. Okay, so I would love to know in the comments below, wherever you're watching this, do you think the yoga business is saturated? Is the market saturated? Are there too many of us? Or do you think that there's just too many in certain areas, like I do? That's what I believe. Certain areas are saturated, other areas are totally empty. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Okay. Dear yoga teacher, before I log off, please take some time for yourself. Practice some self-care. Give yourself the same kindness and love that you give your students so that you can be a force for good in the world. Okay. Bye.